UTV, and thanks and welcome to our news live today. And before we begin, I'm your host, John Dennis Mwendoa.
I am Emily Mashipe.
Mount Kenya University takes pride in being an academic giant with some of the best infrastructure, imparting knowledge to the best brains in the country and the region. Our members of faculty are
5 bundles of joy of quintuplets that were born on Tuesday to the Nakuru couples dies 2 days after birth.
Fruits of freedom as Rigathi Gachagua receives to his hand back 202 million shilling that was seized from him 6 months ago.
Security scale down and directive effects close for the first family.
5 teachers interdicted for subjecting minors to indecent act in Kisii.
Dreams differ on how a student who scored a hair minor in 2019 and able to secure his place in the university is a cardiologist. 5 teachers subjecting minors in indecent act in Kisii and exposure to the peoples and indecent act at the primary school in Nyamachi, Itumbe Dock have been interdicted. The Teachers Service Commission TAC have directed teachers to vacate the office immediately and write a defensive statement on the indecent act. The teachers were arraigned in Kisii while the senior principal, Primagis Tibiwat, said they were determined on this Friday whether they will be or not be able to be detained for 7 days or to be allowed for further investigations to the incidents.
Boys forced to commit an indecent act as their teachers watch and laugh has sparked public outrage. The incident that happened at Itumbe DOK Primary School in Nyamache in Kisii County led to the arrest of 7 teachers. According to Nyamache OCPD Kipkulei Kipkemboi, 6 teachers were first apprehended, then the 7th one was separately apprehended after further interrogation.
We immediately looked for the said teacher and we managed to arrest him last evening. We recorded also his statement and he also confessed that he got actually the clip from Madam Angelina Joseph and he also shared the same to his colleague who is a teacher in another school.
The 7 teachers were arraigned in Kisii Thursday afternoon but did not take plea as police sought more time to complete investigations into the incident. Ogembo's senior principal magistrate Paul B. Watt will determine tomorrow whether or not to detain the 7 teachers for 7 more days.
The 7 accused persons who are before the court will be remanded in custody. You come for the ruling at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
In the meantime, the Teachers Service Commission has interdicted 5 of the teachers for breaching the TSC Act No. 20 of 2012 by coercing 6 Grade 2 learners to engage in an indecent act depicting homosexuality within the school compound. The letters addressed to William Isuka, Evelyn Morao Rina, Catherine Mokera Mokaya, Angelica Joseph and Drusilla Mora Nyairo records that the teachers subjected the minors to psychological torture and embarrassment by recording and sharing the video footage of the indecent act. Before the commission considers and determines the case, the teachers have been directed to write a response to TSC within 21 days. They will get an opportunity to be heard by the commission in person, indicate the nearest TSC sub-county office where each will be required to report once a month, present any evidence including documents in support of their case, vacate office with immediate effect, provide their contact addresses, email and telephone numbers, and forfeit their annual leave. Also affected by the latest move by TSC is teacher Gladys Kenyanya, who has been accused of breaching the Code of Conduct and Ethics for Teachers and required to immediately show cause why she should not be deregistered. The Grade 2 learners also recorded their statements earlier today with the Children's Department, confirming that the minors will be taken through guidance and counselling.
If it is something that has been happening to them, then we are able to establish whether it is something that was happening in school or it's happening from home. That is the information that we can get from the children if we are able to get from them after having some counseling, some therapeutic sessions.
Area residents continue to condemn the incident as they question the action by the teachers.
Kwa mafikiri inaonekana ya kwamba hawa walimu ya shule walikuwa wanaonekana hawaelewani.
Wanawachapa tena wanaweka wanawarekodi ndio wanatuma katika mitandao yetu. Hiyo ni kuonyesha vibaya shule yetu na tena hiyo ni kuonyesha vibaya katika hii kijiji.
Uhuru security scale down and directive effects were closed yesterday. Security team attached to former President Uhuru Kenyatta has been withdrawn. Sources have been confirmed to our media host, and that is the number of security personnel have been rationalized. But some of the General Service Unit officers attached to the former president being recalled for the redevelopment.
Sources have also indicated that the chances included scaling down on withdrawal of the security personnel attached to some members of the first family. An official report saying that the chances were effected this morning and the officers required them, the GSU headquarters, for further instruction.
Official circles remained cagey this evening as speculation mounted over the status of the security deployment around former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Sources told Citizen TV that some changes had been effected on the number of officers guarding the homes of members of the family of retired President Kenyatta, and the numbers had been scaled down. Some of the officers were reportedly directed to report to the GSU headquarters for redeployment. The orders, reportedly effected Thursday morning, required GSU officers and some of the Presidential Escort Unit members to leave their stations and report to their headquarters. The directive affects close and extended family members of the fourth president, most of whom have enjoyed the privilege for decades. Though details remain scanty on the status of the security guarding the former president and whether this has been scaled down, sources say some officers had been asked to report back to the headquarters. According to the Presidential Benefits Act, a retired president will continue to enjoy VIP security. However, this will be certified by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. Also, the retired president's urban and rural homes will be guarded by a maximum 6 security guards. These two to be approved by the Interior Cabinet Secretary. Though the act entitles the former president to a maximum of 6 guards, former President Kenyatta is said to have been assigned 119 officers, information which Citizen TV could not independently ascertain. The reported changes in the VIP protection evoke memories of August 26, 2021, when General Service Unit officers guarding then Deputy President William Ruto's official residence in Karen were withdrawn and replaced by administration police officers. Speculation have further been fueled by the time of the reported changes, as the action comes hot on the heels of public differences between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and his successor, President William Ruto. Efforts to reach police authorities for confirmation of the changes proved futile, with sources indicating that the matter has been left solely in the hands of the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome.
A student who scored an A- in KCSE 2019 has been unable to secure an opportunity to pursue higher education for the last 3 years.
Nehemiah Koech, who was of more than 500,000 candidates, sat for the 2019 examination and had a big dream of becoming a cardiologist. But however, with ailing parents and unable to afford his college education, his history of setting foot in the university to pursue the much-desired career path has been slipping away from the last 3 years. And let's get the report.
Find Nehemiah in the middle of fixing a septic tank. It's one of the odd jobs he engages in while balancing his other work as a security guard. After performing exceptionally well, scoring an A-, these are hardly the tools a future cardiologist would want to be using. Nehemiah was a beneficiary of the Cooperative Bank Student Sponsorship Program that supported him while at Baringo Boys High School.
After nipata results, nilikuwa supposed to join university. So, KUPS wakaniplace niende St. Paul Computer Science. But kwenda bank kuulizia kama za sponsor through university, nikaambiwa due to COVID-19 pandemic, hiyo pesa ya kusponsor beyond high school haiko available.
He was persistent, however, reaching out to every connection possible. That quickly turned into a series of promises and dead ends.
Nikajaribu nikatafuta connection, nikajaribu kuona mtu kama ananipeleka kwa MCA yeyote, sikupata yeyote. Kila mtu alikuwa ana turn out, ananipeleka but a complete your journey.
Nehemiah's visits to different institutions, from the Ministry of Education County headquarters in Eldoret all the way to the office of the governor, proved futile.
So nikaamua nitafute job, nikakuja nikaongelesha, nikapata mtu fulani nikamwongelesha, akaniambia niko na rentals pahali, unaweza kaa watchman unichungie. So tukaagree, akaniambia ananipea 200 shillings a day.
That comes to 6,000 shillings a month, which Nehemiah hopes will help support his 3 younger sisters who are in need of funds for school as well. Despite all this, his dream to one day become a cardiologist hasn't died.
I feel poor, but I still work hard too. Bado niko na hiyo hope that something will change hapo mbele.
The Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has vowed to upscale the world of the illicit brew and drug abuse in central Kenya and the country at large. Terming it as a threat, the Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki of the National Security want the leaders who intervene when arrested, submitting that they won't be granted opportunity by the authorities. The CS as well ordered the 47 county commissioners to launch a high level of crackdown in their jurisdictions. Our reporter gives them more details.
It is during the commissioning of the Sianda Divisional Headquarters in Kiambu County that leaders opened up about the illicit brew and substance abuse in central Kenya.
Mimi waziri, jumini mti yako ya mkono.
Community and political leaders revealed to Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki how dire the situation is.
Utaitana mkutano wa saa 2, uliza wa Matangi tukifanya campaign. 7 in the morning tunapata 6,000 people. Wengine ni walevi, wengine ni dawa. Tuko na serious issues. Even if you are tackle the issue of the whole Mount Kenya region, actually the genesis, na tungeomba kabla utembe huko kwingine, we start from Kiamba.
Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi vowing to deploy county resources to complement efforts by the national government on the war on illicit brew and drug abuse.
We need to combine forces tupigane hii vita na tuhakikishe hii mambo ya dawa za kulevya na pombe tumemalizana naye.
On his part, the Interior Cabinet Secretary ordered the 47 county commissioners to immediately crack down on illicit brew dens across the country, terming the vice one of the 3 threats to the country's national security.
Ile nguvu mmeona nimeweka katika kupigana na wale wezi wa mifugo ambao wanaua watu kaskazini mwa nchi. Hiyo nguvu ndio nakuja nayo hapa Central Kenya kupigana na wale wanauzia watoto wetu madawa ya kulevya na pombe haramu.
The operation will not only focus on illicit brew dens, but also contraband alcohol on the shelves of liquor stores without proper certification. And no one will be spared, not even those close to political leaders.
All leaders, national government, county government, elected leaders, officials of government, do not call me to discuss any matter that pertains to people who are suspected to be involved in the sale and distribution of illicit alcohol and drug abuse.
The just appointed Assistant County Commissioner in the newly commissioned Sianda Division, Ramadan Hussein, has his first and most daunting assignment. Mount Kenya University takes pride in being an academic giant with some of the best infrastructure, imparting knowledge to the best brains in the country and the region. Our members of faculty are keen to deliver market-driven programs in science and humanities with a keen focus on linkages with relevant organizations. We admit both self-sponsored and government-sponsored students under the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service. Join us today and train with the best to become the best. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Five bundles of joy of quintuplets that were born to the Nakuru couples dies 2 days after they were born. All the 5 babies that were born on Tuesday of a 25 years old Wairimu and a 28 years old Kinyanjui died on Thursday, just 2 days after they were born.
The family is disclosed that the young couples are shattered, struggling to come to terms with our living as they report.
When the family of Simon Kinyanjui, a father of quintuplets, walked into the Margaret Kenyatta Mother Baby Wing at the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital to check on their loved one Margaret Wairimu, a day after she welcomed quintuplets, the family was hopeful that all was well. But the news that the 5 babies died hours apart on the same day was particularly disheartening.
Tumeipokea kitu saa 7 kuwa watoto wote wamepumzika, but ni God will. Na the father is not around, hangeweza kufika hapa. It is so painful kwake to believe.
Tulipata news about the 2 kwanza, tukaenda nyumbani. Unfortunately around 1 ndio tumepata news kuhusu wao wengine.
The family says the young couple living in Bahati, Nakuru, is devastated by the news. Wairimu is still recuperating at the facility, where doctors continue to monitor her after undergoing a cesarean section.
Mama pia kwake ni ngumu juu ya venye alikuwa amepokea watoto wake, venye watu walikuja jana wakamshelekea, but unfortunately ikakuwa another story. Mimi ningejiomba kwa watu wa Samaria wema wasaidie hii familia kwa sababu ni changa sana. Na pia imekosa hopes kabisa, imesikia imerudi chini.
Medics say Margaret delivered the 5 babies at 25 weeks, which is slightly over 6 months, which was premature and the organs were not fully formed. This medics say might have led to the deaths of the quintuplets.
Na yote tunasema Mungu ndiye upeana na ndiye uchukua. Yote tu ni kushukuru kwa yale Mungu amefanya. Hatuwezi tukalaumu mtu yoyote, manake Mungu ni muweza wa kila kitu. Sasa kile tunaweza omba ni vile tulifurahia hii baraka, watu wasaidie tu vile kulingana, hata hii familia bado ni changa.
The World Health Organization categorizes babies born at less than 28 weeks as extremely preterm. WHO says an estimated 15 million children globally are born prematurely before 37 weeks, and that the preterm birth complications are the leading cause of death among children under 5.
Right now, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua receives back 202 million shillings forfeited to the state 6 months ago. It was a claim that the signs of the crime was an exception by the Court of Appeal to have the money returned back to the Deputy President. The Court of Law followed the new evidence obtained by the Assets Recovery Agency, IRA, which showed that the money questioned was not proceedings of crime, but as the Deputy President had explained.
The ruling just came into 2 months after the Anti-Corruption Court dropped the 7.3 billion shilling corruption case against the Deputy President and the 9 others that...
6 months after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua moved to the Court of Appeal to challenge the decision by the Anti-Corruption Court to forfeit 202 million shillings to the state after failing to explain its source, Gachagua has a reason to smile after the Appellate Court vacated the forfeiture order issued by the High Court and also set aside its judgment. The decision by the Court of Appeal came after the parties amicably agreed to settle the matter. The Assets Recovery Agency, in their submissions to the court, said after gathering new evidence, they found out that the money forfeited were not proceeds of crime and that the Deputy President had explained the source and legitimacy of the said money to their satisfaction. The agency further told the court that at the time the High Court issued its judgment on July 28th last year, the new evidence was not placed before Lady Justice Esther Minor, since the agency was not in possession of the said judgment. The judge had, while delivering her ruling back in July 2022, said that Gachagua had admitted receiving the funds from government agencies, but there was no evidence that he supplied any services or goods. The Deputy President had in June last year, during campaigns, vowed that if Kenya Kwanza coalition clinches the presidency, he will recover the money which had been frozen.
Ora toya thirikari no thirikari ino itu ni ahingiririe mbeca ciakwa riu toya ikihingurwo ciakihingurwo ri nduke hana yake muciara keni nigetha mukae kunjerera tatimu mugamie kanyumba kega hau na kanyumba ga thuri ga gucina nyama makinyua kanyama karia manyua tukiaragia tatimu na watimira tumabangira bari ga kwara nyina gacagua makinyua gocuru makinaga makigocaga na iwatimira tondu mwende toru ndu lori ndimukirire nginya kinanda ndu wa gurungura.
Gachagua will now be able to access the cash held in 3 accounts at Rafiki Microfinance Bank, one holding 165 million shillings, a second account holding 35 million shillings, and another account holding 773,228 shillings. The fourth account, holding over 1 million shillings, is in the name of Gene Enterprises. The ruling comes just 2 months after the court allowed the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, to withdraw 7.4 billion shillings corruption charges against the Deputy President and 9 others. Judge Victor Wakumile, in his ruling, faulted the DPP for pressing charges against Gachagua without conducting conclusive investigations. Kuria Obadia, the officer was investigating the case, told the court that they were...
Right at the same time, the International Governmental Authority Development, IGAD, have tackled the prolonged drought, a spell that have struck the southern and eastern region and affected millions of people and livestock. The state of the regions addressed IGAD Executive Secretary Dr. Wakne Gebeyehu, who said that the 2021-2022 period was the most challenging in the history of the IGAD.
IGAD Executive Secretary also gave an update on the other issues in Southern Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia and Sudan, that he appealed to all of those involved parents in negotiation to embrace this log.
And let us take a look to the bits of education matters whereby confusion continues to clock the new first week of the junior secondary school, whereby education in public schools at this fourth day goes by with the majority of the schools without teachers.
Nyanza and western region of the country have attained over 50% of the enrollment by the children in junior secondary school. Unlike any other person in the country, the children remains untaught. And our very own reporter...
The third day of the junior secondary school education in Kenyan public schools picked up where the first and second had left off. The books are in some of the schools, so are the children.
In Nyanza, the response has been very good. As you can see, we are in Kisii, and this morning we were at 60%.
As the schools continue admitting the children and registering them in the NEMIS systems, those already in class are whiling away time, waiting for the formal commencement of junior secondary learning, a wait tied to the arrival of teachers here. The Kenya National Union of Teachers officials decrying the inordinately long wait for teachers.
We want to ask Teacher Service Commission to consider deploying these teachers as early as yesterday so that these learners can have a new experience.
Education officers in the region acknowledge the delay in deployment of teachers, but insist that this should not stop those teachers in the schools from stepping in to get the learning train moving.
I request the teachers continue going to class and teaching as we wait for further direction. For those children who are still at home, my appeal, you report as fast as possible.
The Deputy County Commissioners must ensure that any child who qualifies to go to class 7 and the one who is also qualifies to go to Form 1, they find their place in school.
With Kenya National Union of Teachers officials calling for urgent action, Ministry of Education officials from the region say the wait for teachers won't be very long.
The list of those teachers approved will be taken to the region. Then the region will take them to the counties for posting.
In the same region, a section of private schools, although well equipped, are looking at low numbers of students enrolled as parents flock to public schools for the free education.
I think it's something to do with the free primary education. And here we have told them that as we are not getting any support from the government, we are going to run our own show.
Thank you and gratitude to you all our viewers. This is our Daybreak. Follow us on our social media links. #MKOTV at Emily Mashipe.
At John Dennis Mwendoa. See you soon.